I've been spending time with a good friend more recently, but I think he's only doing it so he can look at my daughter. The last few months, I've been chatting to a friend more regularly than before. We've been friends for over a decade, and we used to be really close, but we slowly drifted apart. I should probably mention we are both men in our 40s. It's been great catching up with him, and honestly I really needed a friend, so it's just been great. He's got a long-term girlfriend and 2 young children. A couple of months ago we visited his house for the first time. He recently moved and we weren't speaking much before that, just an occasional comment on Facebook. And me, my 14-year-old son and 20-year-old daughter spent a few hours honestly just chatting about nothing but in a good way, you know. While we were there I noticed that he kept looking at my daughter out of the corner of his eye. I never really caught him fully looking, so I thought nothing of it, especially as he has known my kids for over a decade. I didn't mention it to my daughter as I didn't want to make her feel uncomfortable if it was nothing. A couple of months went past, and we visited them again. He kept talking to my daughter, and not really to me, which is fine, but it just seemed odd when my daughter has really bad anxiety, and she can't really hold a conversation, and she makes it clear when she's uncomfortable talking. He just seemed to keep looking at her and talking. Even if he was talking to me, he would just look at her. The final straw was last week. We visited them, and we've been having a heat wave, so we were all dressed in as minimal as possible. My daughter in a thin pair of skirts and a t-shirt, my son in a pair of athletic shorts and a gym top, and me in a polo shirt and white chino shorts. Nothing unusual, just basic summer wear. When we were in conversation he would look at my daughter. When anyone told a joke he would smirk a little, or give a small laugh depending. But if my daughter told something mildly funny he would really laugh to the point that even she would look awkward. He kept dropping out of conversation and just staring at her. I think she noticed it as well because she started to lean back in her chair to try to cover herself, even though she was fine. She looked uncomfortable. Then when the sun set she put on a thick jacket and zipped it up. I don't know if he's just trying to be friendly, and he doesn't know how to act, or if he's only inviting us round to stare at her, and if so then I don't know what to do. Yes, she's 20 but she's still my little girl and this man watched her grow up. It just seems strange. I don't know if I should say something, or just don't go around there again. Either way, I think it's the end of the friendship, which is a shame, but oh well. Update 1. Update from my last post. I spoke to my daughter about the whole thing, and wanted to know what she thought about it all because I didn't want to say anything if she didn't think it was odd. She told me that after the first time we saw him again, a few months ago, he had appeared outside her work after she finished her shift, and asked if she wanted a lift home instead of getting the bus. She said that since he was a good friend of mine she trusted him and got in his car. On the ride home he repeatedly touched her leg and started talking about how much she's changed since he saw her last, before we all met up, and how much of an adult she looks now. He told her she's growing into her body, like a good girl. My daughter said that she would walk the rest of the way home because she didn't want to put him out too much, but he insisted on driving her all the way. She said she kept moving away from him, but he was leaning to touch her knees. She said that at a red light not long before the house he gave her his mobile number and texted himself from her phone and told her to call him if she wanted a lift or anything else. Then when she got home she wanted to leave the car, but he grabbed her arm and asked her where his hug and kiss goodbye was. Not a new thing. He gives us all a hug every time. And when she leaned in he held her tight and whispered that she should call him. In the last few months since then he has repeatedly been sending her explicit texts and images, and waiting outside her work asking her if she would like a lift home, even though every time she said no. She said she didn't want to say anything because she didn't want to upset me as he was the only friend I had. I feel sick thinking about this. This is my daughter. She's 20 but she's still my little girl, and I feel like I've put her in danger. I've messaged him asking him to stop contacting my family, and I've sent him the screenshots from her phone as reasons why, but he is messaging me asking me why when she is an adult, and the only sleazy thing he's done is cheat on his girlfriend, as my daughter never physically said the word stop, she just ignored him. I'm so angry. At him and myself. Edit. I'd like to say thanks to everyone for the advice. Also I've been getting a lot of mom comments, and although I appreciate the sentiment very much, I am her dad. Unfortunately her mom passed away quite a few years ago, but I really appreciate that everyone thought I was her mom. It really is the biggest compliment to me. I must be doing something right. We went and spoke to our local police, and they couldn't really help us as she had willingly gotten into his car. They did say that as we have spoken to him already, they could keep a file open, and if it continues then they would be able to take action. Honestly, it seems that they don't really care about it at all, which is alarming and upsetting. We sent the screenshots and an explanation to his girlfriend, and we've had some missed calls from him, but that's not our problem. We've blocked him on everything and have completely removed him from every social media. My daughter has spoken to her work, and they have said that until she is able to find another job, they will ensure that at least one other member of staff will wait with her for the bus, and I will be meeting her at the first stop in our town to take her directly home on days I'm not working and on days I am. Then her grandparents will be picking her up. She is safe. I also had a lot of comments suggesting I get violent with this man. Although I do appreciate that a lot of people would be choosing the other route of resolving the problem face to face, I'm not like that. I'd like to be. I'd like to say that there's no problem I couldn't solve that way. But that's simply not me. It doesn't make me a bad dad either. I've found another way to solve the problem and make sure my daughter is safe and comfortable. Thank you all for your help and advice. It's nice to find some support through the internet sometimes. Commenter. It's not your fault, but you need to have a sit down and talk through the socialization for women to be nice and how to get past that mental block. This is something a lot of us go through, and it puts us in really awful situations. Help her understand that her safety is the most important thing. She doesn't have to be nice or put up with things like this. There's probably some very eloquent people who can speak to this topic on YouTube. It's not me. But I want to make sure she knows she doesn't have to take this shit for the rest of her life, even with the anxiety and desire not to rock any boats. OP. I've told her many times growing up that if she doesn't feel comfortable doing something, no matter what it is, then she needs to say that. It doesn't matter if it upsets someone or offends someone. All that matters is that she is safe and comfortable. I'm hoping that she will be like this from now on, and I just hope that she knows I'm here for her no matter what. Also, there's an update to the post. Thank you for your comment. Story 2. Am I the a-hole for breaking up with my fiancé after he insisted on me forgiving my bio dad? Let me clarify that this is a throwaway account. My friends follow my personal account. Don't mind my English, I'm Argentinian. And also, I would like to make things short, but I'm afraid that it's pretty impossible, since I'm going to have to give a lot of context. So, basically I, 28F now, and my twin brother Leo, 28M, were raised by my mother alone in our childhood. She was married to my dad, but divorced him when she found out he was cheating, and he just disappeared and didn't even pay child support when we were 4 years old. My mom raised us alone and grew up with abusive parents. She was a teacher and did her best to take care of us, and she was and still is simply the best mom you could ask for. Never abusive or unfair, never showed any favoritism. She was always interested in us and was the perfect combination of a fun but responsible parent. As a result, my brother and I decided to do our best not to generate any problems for her. We did our best in school, didn't generate troubles, and did all our chores. My mom started dating our stepdad, Carlos, who was her high school sweetheart when we were 11. And this guy was always the father we never had, and loved us like their own. They also had our little sister Virginia, and we have been a big happy family. Now, our dad tried to reach us several times. But after a few disappointments, Leo and I decided to cut him off and appreciate that we had a great man like Carlos in our lives, who swore to us that he would never go away. Back to the present, I had been dating my now ex-fiancé Jonathan, 30M, for 3 years. We have been engaged for a couple of months and living together, and everything seemed perfect except one thing. He sometimes would try to convince me to forgive my father and to invite him to our wedding. He knows everything that happens, but he's still insisting on the fact that he's family and I should forgive him. But I drew the line when he invited his parents and tried to make an intervention. I had to hold my anger as I heard all their bullshit, and I was about to snap, but I forced myself to calm down. I simply took off my ring, left it at the table, and said that we were done for good. They were all shocked, and I stood up, grabbed my phone and called my ex-boyfriend from high school, Lucas, 28M, and explained what happened to him, and asked for some help to go back to my hometown. Lucas and I dated for 4 years, from 14 to 18, and broke up due to distance. We have been friends since we were 6 years old. So he was with me through all the disappointments that my bio dad gave me. We're still friends and see each other when we go back home, and often call each other. He was angry, and told me he would be there right away. The town it's only an hour away from the city I was living in. I started to pack my stuff, while he and his parents kept trying to make me change my mind. But I just ignored and called my mom and brother to tell them the wedding was off and that I would be going back home for a while. They kept telling me I was exaggerating, that I was choosing wrong. But I just packed everything I own and Lucas showed up pretty quick. Of course, my ex-fiancée was mad that I had called my ex-boyfriend. But I didn't care and Lucas and I just went back home. Luckily, I work from home, so I don't have any problem moving whenever I want. I can work from anywhere. I decided to let all my close circle know what had happened right away, and they're all on my side. I arrived in my hometown, and my stepdad, mom, and little sister received me with a lot of love, and told me I needed to do what felt right and not to force myself to get myself in a marriage if my fiancé can't even respect my boundaries and invalidates my feelings. Lucas said that I deserve someone better, and to try to focus on moving on. However, Jonathan's friends and family are still berating me for breaking up with him in front of his parents and leaving with my ex just like that. But in my defense, he didn't give me a choice. Part of me is thinking they're only doing it because they are his family and friends, but part of me is starting to believe that maybe, yeah, I handled things wrong. I don't regret breaking up with him. It hurts, but it just feels better like this. But maybe I was too harsh. I don't know. Am I the a-hole? Update. I doubt anyone will read this, but here's an update. I would like to thank everyone who commented. I wasn't able to see the comments until like a week later due to some problems I had with my phone, and it seemed pretty pointless to reply after so long. But thanks for the advice, I appreciate it. So, it's been over 3 months since I posted. Since I broke up with my ex-fiancée. A lot has happened ever since. After the first month, I thought my ex had given up, but he tried hard to find me through all our contacts. Finally, one mutual friend told him where I was, and he showed up at my house. My stepdad threatened to call the police if he didn't leave, and he did, but told my stepdad he wouldn't stop trying until he could talk to me. I wasn't home at the time, and I chose to talk to him. I decided to call him and make things clear to him. I didn't think it was necessary, but I did think maybe he thought we still had a chance. So I called him and I told him that we were done and that wouldn't change, and I didn't care what reasons he had to do what he did. I was clear about the situation with my bio dad and he completely ignored my feelings and thoughts when it wasn't his business, and that someone like him, who thinks he's always right, is not someone to be trusted. Then I just cut the phone call. Some people in the comments kept asking why he would do this, and I think that's because of 2 reasons. The first one is that his mindset is that family is family, and no matter what, you need to always be there for them. As you can guess, I don't agree with that at all. I think family is the people you choose, and no person is worthy of being in your life just because they are your own blood. And I think like this for a long while now, and it's what helped me get through everything. Also, he was the type of person who thinks the best thing is to forgive, to be okay with yourself, to be at peace. And well, that's bullshit for me. I don't think that's necessary at all. And I think you can move on from something without forgiving anyone who screwed you up. Some people also thought that I needed to go to therapy to deal with this. The truth is that I went to therapy for a while for this and multiple other problems, and I'm at peace with it. I don't think about it, but I do know that I don't want him in my life, and that's my choice and no one else's. Now, many asked why I asked my ex to come pick me up, and the truth is pretty simple. I trust Lucas with my life, but besides that, he's tall and a boxer, and well, I knew that there were chances of everything going to shit and that things could get violent, or at least I was scared of it, and that's why I called Lucas. I once had another situation with another guy I went out with for like a month. He got violent and I called Lucas to help me. Like I said in the post, we were friends before dating, and now it's kinda confusing. I'm not the kind to jump from one relationship to another, and that's why I avoided seeing Lucas personally, because I was starting to feel confused with my feelings towards him. I took my time to process the breakup, and 2 weeks ago I met with him to talk and told him what was happening to me. He said he was going through something similar, and we agreed to give it another shot. We're still seeing. But it's pretty clear to me that my feelings are even stronger than I thought. Anyway, hopefully this will be my first and last update. But you never know. I heard that my ex is still trying to contact me, but I'm just ignoring it for now. If things get messy, I'll see what I'll do then. Story 3. Boyfriend, 31M, woke me, 34F, up at 2 a.m. to make him dinner. I made him leave instead. I am seriously never dating again. No advice needed, just one event. Throw away for the usual reasons. So I became official with this guy a couple months ago. He was sweet, kind, funny, gorgeous, the usual stuff. Everything was fine. We'd stay at each other's places, have date nights, general relationship stuff. In short, no red flags. A couple beige ones here and there, but everyone has those. Then came the other night. He's currently having to pick up the slack at his job due to multiple people quitting. We decided to spend the weekend at my place as his roommates can be quite loud, and he needed to concentrate on fixing a system at his job so he can remotely work. Friday is fine. We stay in and in between his working we do the usual couple stuff. Saturday comes and something has gone wrong and the stress is doubled. So he isn't eating anything I make, which is fine. I simply remind him there are leftovers in the fridge. By 11 p.m. he's still working, so I head to bed. I am then startled awake by him at 2 a.m. shaking me, telling me he's hungry now. Confused, I remind him about the leftovers and turn over to go back to sleep, but he gets grumpy and tells me I need to make him something fresh now. I'm honestly completely confused and so sleepy while he rattles on about coconut shrimp or something. Still half asleep, I just stare at him as I try to work out what the fuck is happening. I'm guessing my silence pissed him off as he started having a go at me for not doing my duty as his girlfriend. That woke me up fully, and I told him to get out of my house. His attitude changed then and he was apologizing, but I just repeated myself and eventually he left the room. I followed him, picked up his stuff, put it into a bag, and once again told him to get out. He looked like a deer in headlights. He kept trying to say sorry and hug me, and it was only when I threw his car keys into his arms that he realized I was serious and left. This was Sunday morning. It's now Monday night and I still refuse to speak to him. He's tried calling and texting, but I'm honestly just annoyed and dumbfounded. I know I'll have to speak to him at some point, but I don't want to. He's an idiot. When I do speak to him, I'll update. For now, I'm going to bed. Update 1. Holy sweet G-Bus, that's a lot of notifications. Thank you for your overwhelming support. Glad to know I'm not the only one who thinks this is stupid. Also to the ones who said I should have just done it, or agreed with the man-child fake you, I needed a laugh today. On to the update. He came into my job to talk and explained that his friends saw a video of a woman being woken up to cook for her man, and they decided to test it out on their partners as a loyalty test. So my initial judgment of him being an idiot was correct. He was surprised when I broke up with him, but he was calm and accepting, albeit sad. Either way, that's over with. To answer a few concerns. Nope, no drugs, just bad judgment. No mental health concerns. Yes, he's stressed, but it's surface stress that'll be fine once his work hires some new people, I'm sure. Honestly, not my concern anymore. Someone mentioned unconditional love? The relationship was less than 3 months. Chill out. Seriously though, thank you for even taking the time to read my sleepy ramblings. I'm gonna buy myself a nice bottle of wine once I've finished work as a thank you to myself for not settling. Until next time.